Hello everyone, my name is Rosa Andrade. I'm a student in Introduction to Criminal Justice for Spring 2026, and today I'm going to talk about reentry, which is the process people go through when they leave prison and they're trying to build their lives after prison. And in this presentation, I'm going to talk about all the things that have to do with reentry. A lot of the times we don't understand what it is, or we only have hear it by movies, but we don't really know what it is or what it does. So in this presentation, I'm going to try to make you understand a little bit of what is this and why it's so important to people to understand it and be part of it if you were in prison at a certain point. Now, the big question, what is reentry? Reentry is the process people go through uh, transitioning from a day in prison to a day in a normal world. After being in prison for every day, it's going back to sociology and what's the importance and the things you have to do. Some of the things you have to do is requires adjusting to the new environment and new responsibilities you're gonna have after being in prison, including all the emotional, social, and financial changes, because it can be a really long and difficult process. Because it's no more than just releasing you and just making you have a life without really understanding all the changes the world has had in the past months or days, even years. It depends how many time you were in prison. Everyone adjusts completely different ways, so it depends on the person how the activities are gonna affect you or gonna make you be a better person. And that includes all the more responsibility like changes you're gonna have after leaving prison. The main changes people can have after leaving prison are the difficulty to find a stability income, that being finding a job, finding a household, finding friends, getting the trust of people. Because when you leave prison, the people have a big idea of you without really knowing you, so they can assume a lot of things. So that could give you a lot of hard time trying to find a new job, trying to find a new household, especially because starting over with very limited opportunities, it's a really hard thing. Especially how I mentioned before, a lot of people assume the worst thing of you when you leave prison because they don't know you, and if you were in prison is for a reason. A lot of people would just say that you are a bad person, I cannot trust you. So you have to start building a trust for you to get a job, a house, and a really important thing, trying to manage financially stress because you don't have a lot of resources or a lot of help. Now, the part that many people don't talk about, mental health. When you leave prison, it's a really big change. So many individuals experience anxiety and depression because they have to change their routine completely. The trauma of being in prison and can actually affect their behavior, how they act, and how they can be social to everyone. Difficulty trying to adjust to freedom. That's one of the biggest ones. When you were in prison and you were not allowed to do many things, and trying to go back to sociology and everyone is, we can say, free, it's a really big change because you're scared of doing something wrong and going back to prison. And to be honest, mental health support is really limited nowadays. So it's hard to get help if you're having a lot of trouble with mental health. Social stigma. Now, this is a hard thing. A lot of people will start judging you after leaving prison just because you have a criminal record, and that's a big deal nowadays. How I mentioned before, the idea people have of people in prison, it's a big one. So trying to get a job or a house or even relationships, it's a really hard thing. Trying to make everyone comfortable around you, it's a really important thing, but at the same time it's a really hard one. Feeling excluded of events, or even just not even events, from your day to day, you can feel excluded because a lot of things you cannot understand because everyone or everything changes really often. So if you were in prison for a really long time, a lot of times you're not going to understand them, or you're just not going to feel the same way as they do because you experience something as big as being in prison. That's why even if someone wants to change, sociology may judge you and banish you by parts, making you hard to start moving or making you hard to better yourself. Now, what is recidivism? Recidivism is the meaning of returning to criminal behavior, especially because in the United States it's a really common thing to do. After things don't work out for you, you will go back to your old habits. And with that, I mean start doing crimes again. A lot of the times it's because they're lacked of support and opportunities. Like I said in the back slides, it's a really common thing to do. They don't have enough support. But at the times, the things that happen is not only because they don't have support. It's because people don't really want to change. If someone doesn't really want to change, no matter how many opportunities you're going to give them, they're not going to change. So this could be for many reasons, but the most common ones is because they don't have enough support. They want to change, but they cannot do it without help. Why do people reoffend? Some of the most common things are because employment opportunity. They don't have enough opportunities to get a job. So for that reason, a lot of the times just it's easier to go back. Another one is to have a stable housing or financial support. And to be honest, I don't really judge them by this. Even if you were not in prison, it's a really hard thing to do. But after being in prison, you have we'll say, a really dark shadow of you. Other thing they have is the pressure of survive and provide for themselves. And the thing I like to talk more, the mental health changes. When you leave prison, there's so many things going through your head. That's why having the emotional support and mental health support you need, it's one of the most important things I can say. They can help you. Having a support system, I feel like is one of the most important things after leaving prison, because with all the things I have said before, having someone that can help you is really important. And I don't mean like financial support. I mean that could help, yes, but I mean emotionally support. After going through that, it's really hard. The idea people have of you after leaving prison, it's a really big one. And if you have someone that can help you realize going back to those habits are not the best thing, that could really help you. That's why having a family system can improve your income, I mean your outcome. Having some communities programs, having a psychologist would help you with your mental health, and having positive relationships with people around you. Psychology connections. Having this can help you understand behaviors and make decisions. It could help you focus on your emotions and healing your trauma after being in prison and all your trauma you had before. It could help you teach yourself some skills and self-control. I feel like it's one of the things that you need more after being in prison, and support long-term behavior change, because when you have a psychology connection, it could help you in many ways. And I feel like that could be one of the things that could be more hopeful. The reentry programs are one of the best options, I feel, if you feel like you don't have enough help, because they can propel you to find a new job and help you develop some skills. They could help you go back to school and finish your degrees. They could help you find a therapist for your mental health. And if you have a substance abuse, it could help you at the same time. I feel like those programs offer so many things and so many good options for everyone that has go through that. And I feel like it's one of the best options if you feel like you're not doing enough for yourself, and maybe you're not a person who has go through, but maybe you know someone, and knowing about those programs can help them out. How we can improve reentry? We can improve reentry by helping them access education and jobs, reducing stigmas and discrimination, providing them or helping them with more housing opportunities, and especially with mental health support services, because to improve reentry sociality we need to support and start to think with another head and not just judge people. Now, I can say my personal reflection with this is that I believe people can change, especially if they have the opportunities they need. But at the same time, I know people may not change no matter how many opportunities you give them. But I personally believe that everyone deserves a second chance, especially if they have support and opportunities. They can change a lot, and they could be a really important part of sociology, because they can learn by their mistakes. I personally believe that we all are humans and we all make this mistakes. And if we can prove that we have learned from them and we can be a better person, you can be a perfect human, a person that has changed and have go through that and has learned about it. It's a really big part and a really big change. But I know a lot of the times, and I know, well, not a lot of the times, I know everyone deserves a second chance, but at the same time, they need to have the support. They need to be mentally ready for all the things they have to go through. In conclusion, re-entry is not an easy process, but is the right support you have the one that makes the biggest change. People can actually rebuild their lives and make it successful after going through all those things, and everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone is human and everyone makes mistakes. That will be all for me. Thank you very much for listening to me and have a blessed day.